I'm not sure why I thought the jury was off on Friday. I think I thought that was the day they were arguing the ARCA stuff. Anyway, I was wrong. They were working yesterday. They went on the field trip and then they went back to court to have a couple of witnesses. Now, what's interesting is in the video where I said they're not doing anything today, I put a photo of last year's field trip. It was like almost like I'm psychic. It's weird how I knew that. But anyway, this is last year's jury trip. So this is trial number 1. The jurors got taken to the house and this is what they saw. And you notice where Karen's car is parked, right? Like this is what they saw. And when I published this picture, people came in my comment section and they're like, why is it that everything we see is expansive? Meaning, the camera angle makes it look like this front yard is really deep from the street to the house. That it's just really deep and it's like huge from side to side. And I thought, that's interesting. I went through yesterday's jury footage. Well, it's not the jury. I'm sorry. It's reporters were allowed to take footage. And so I went through some of the reporters' footage and they're right. Like this yard is much smaller than we've all been given the impression that it is. And then I went back and looked at the original scene photos that were taken by the Canton PD. And then they went, that first day they took a bunch of photos and then they went back when more taillight was discovered and they went back for a second sweep. Their photos show it from a completely different angle, almost as if they're trying to convince you that the crime took place much further down and it took place kind of, John's body was almost like between the two houses. They've wanted you to think throughout this entire process that it is highly plausible that every single person would exit that home. So you're talking I could do the roll call, probably a dozen people would leave that house. They would all go out into their cars. They'd pull out of the driveway or whatever, and they would go south on the road and drive right past a fucking body, and none of them would see it. And none of them could see it from the house. They want you to believe that. But then when you start looking at some different things, you're going to go, wait a second. How did everybody miss this? So let's get into it. Now, let me be sure I give all the right photo credits. Okay, so this is the Court TV reporter, and this is a still shot from his live video. And the reason I show this is a couple things you need to look at. And he's kind of pointing, like you can see where the yard is. What you see right here is the flagpole, right? There's a car parked right here. I just want you to know this. You see this car right here. It's a little black car. And we're going to see it in more photos. That's why I'm calling it out. And it's kind of almost perpendicular to the front door. Okay. So here he is in the street. And then he's not calling this out, but I want to call this out. I just want you to see this white fence and how the white fence comes up against the house right here. And then there's a big bush over here. But the flagpole is what everyone's referring to because they want you to think that if the body was found by the flagpole, it wouldn't have been visible from the front door. Okay, that's kind of the thing. Like if Jen McCabe is looking out the front door, how the hell does she not see him laying right here, right? So they're trying to make you think that this is a really far distance. Now, before the jurors left court, David Yannetti said, I want you to keep an eye out for the second story windows. There's going to be something about these windows. I've said all along, this entire front of this house is filled with windows. There's no way that somebody didn't see things. And also, just side note, why does Jen McCabe keep going to the door? There's 4 fucking windows she could be looking out. In fact, if she's sitting in the dining room, everyone else, she can just look through the dining room window and get the exact same view. Why does she keep getting up and going to the front door? Makes no sense to me. But anyway, again, I wanted to show you this because in this picture, right, the flagpole's right over here at his back. But I want to show you this. Again, you see right here where this white picket fence comes right up to the house and you can see how close these bedrooms are, right? So the second story bedrooms, Yannetti probably called this out because I'm wondering if this is where the Albert's bedroom is. And so they're trying to say, okay, so if this is where the fence is and this is where the windows are, this is almost essentially happening right below their window. And now one more important thing. So as he's showing this video, he's saying, here's the house, here's the flagpole. And then the video pans this way and he shows Karen Reed's car up on the tow truck. They're about to pull it down and put it into position so the juries can look. But what I want you to notice this part, right? So the white picket fence goes all the way over here to the neighbor's property line, right? There's this utility thing here. And back here, you can't see it, but right here, there's a fire hydrant. And that fire hydrant comes into play, and I'm going to show you in a minute. But when they were talking about what happened to John's head, there was actually somewhere along the way, someone speculated, did he hit his head on the fire hydrant, which is all the way down here. But there was a lot of evidence found around the fire hydrant. So how the hell does evidence get all the way down here when the flagpole is all the way over here? Now, these are the photos of the house taken by the Canton PD the morning of January 29th when John O'Keefe's body is found on the lawn. Now, again, they're out in the street, almost closer to the neighbor's house, taking these photos. So the indication is you're thinking John's found like right around this area. And so then you think, well, it is plausible. Look how far away it is from the house. Like this is, I think, intentionally designed to make you think that this is a much bigger area than it is. This picture is important because it is the morning of the situation. You can see how many cars are in the driveway. So clearly there are people in this home. And again, no one goes to the home to knock on the door to make sure everyone in the house is okay. Cop cars in the street, blinking lights, right? But again, here is the flagpole. Here's the flagpole. Here's the fire hydrant. So again, these pictures would make you think this happened all the way over here, and it didn't. I put this picture in because I think it's important for context. Here's the flagpole, and you can see, remember how I said earlier, where the white picket fence comes up to the house? This flagpole is basically almost perpendicular to where that fence is. So again, let's don't make it sound like the flagpole is 10 acres away. It's right here. And this is one more important picture. And I do have to go to a second video because there's these cool reenactment things I need to show you. But this is the house, and this is from the different angles, so you can see the driveway. This driveway always has cars in it because multiple people live in the house, right? There's always cars in the driveway. And here's the mailbox. And the reason why you need to know this is because on the night of the party, everyone's testified that there were multiple cars in the driveway, and then Higgins pulled up and parked this way, like perpendicular, right? He kind of blocked all the cars in the driveway. He parked at the end of the driveway, basically in front of the mailbox. And that's important to know because if his Jeep is here, by the way, Jen McCabe was texting John, say, park behind me or pull behind me. Her car's in the driveway. So if she'd been looking out the door, she would have known Higgins' car was already there. Like John couldn't have pulled there because Higgins' Jeep was there. This is from the Canton police file, audit file. There was a lot of conversation about John's cell phone being found underneath him. This is, according to the Canton PD, the spot where John was found. And you can see they moved the body. So if there was snow underneath him, it was such a light dusting that when they moved the body, the snow basically disappeared. So he wasn't on inches and inches of snow, right? He was on the ground and snow fell on top of him. So again, with the cell phone would have been underneath. People are like, well, the cell phone was in the snow, but it really wasn't. I mean, it was on frozen ground and cold ground, but it wasn't in snow. And this is the only photo where they show like any sort of context of where this spot is in comparison to like the flagpole and the fence. So there isn't, this is the only picture. So they never pull back so you can really see the whole house and where the body was found. But I also think this is by design. I got to go to a part 2. Please come back.